The film begins with a girl named Chen Nian, who is busy hitting the books for her big end of high school test. But out of nowhere, a scary noise comes from outside her classroom, and everyone starts freaking out. Soon after, she dashes outside to see what happened and is horrified to find her classmate, Xiao Die, dead. Everyone thinks Xiao Die fell off the school's roof, but instead of feeling sad, they're all snapping pictures to share online. At that moment, Chen Nian can't believe it. She's really upset about Xiao Die's death and covers her friend's body with her own jacket. Soon after, the police come and ask Chen Nian questions because she saw what happened. Even though Xiao Die was bullied at school, Chen Nian keeps quiet because she's scared she might be the next target. Back in her class, Chen Nian finds her chair covered in a red liquid. She has no choice but to sit on it. The next day, while waiting to get her lunch, she bumps into 3 girls. They are Wei Lai, Xu Miao, and Lu Ting. Chen Nian knows they had something to do with Xiao Die's death, so she tries to steer clear of them. But they won't leave her alone and even follow her on her way home from school. At that time, Wei Lai and her pals decided to pick on Chen Nian next because she had tried to help Xiao Die earlier. They cornered her on a lonely street and pushed her around. When she got home, she was surprised to see her mom, Chen Yue, who wasn't around much since she sells fake masks and has a lot of unhappy customers. The next day, as Chen Nian was walking back from school, she saw a guy getting beaten up by 2 mean-looking dudes. She felt bad for him and called the police, but the bad guys caught her and started hitting her too. That's when the young man fought back to protect her. A few days later, this guy, named Xiao Bei, found Chen Nian to say thanks and give back the money the thugs took from her. Soon after, Xiao Bei helped her to get her phone fixed, which got crushed during the fight. He knew a lot about phones and warned her to only go to a reputable repair shop because some fake ones might steal her data. He also mentioned that Chen Nian seemed like an easy target for bullies because she's small and pretty shy. Chen Nian didn't say anything because, deep down, she knew he was right. When Chen Nian got home, she was shocked to find posters everywhere saying her mom was wanted by the police for selling fake stuff. Things got even worse the next day when Wei Lai shared these posters in the class chat, making everyone mock Chen Nian. Later, while Chen Nian was heading home, she bumped into Xiao Bei. He told her to hop on his bike, and without thinking, she did, even though she had no clue where they were going. Turns out, he was taking her to his place to grab a bite to eat. As they were eating instant noodles, Xiao Bei tried to lighten the mood by asking about her love life. He thought maybe she was down because of some boyfriend troubles, but this really ticked off Chen Nian since it was none of his business. Rather than saying sorry, Xiao Bei got mad, pushed her against the wall, and told her to leave. The next day during PE, Chen Nian noticed that her classmates were giving her the cold shoulder. She decided to head back to her classroom, but Wei Lai had other plans, throwing a volleyball at her on purpose. This ticked off Chen Nian, who fought back by hurling a volleyball at them. At that time, Wei Lai got super mad, pushing Chen Nian and causing her to tumble down the stairs. However, Chen Nian had had enough, so she reported everything to a young detective named Zhang Yi, who was already looking into Xiao Die's case. There, Chen Nian told Zhang Yi that Xiao Die took a dark path because of the constant bullying from Wei Lai and the gang. Hearing this, he questioned Wei Lai and her friends, but they didn't take responsibility, saying if Xiao Die did something harmful, it was her own choice. They even denied picking on Chen Nian and showed no remorse for Xiao Die's death. Zhang Yi, however, believed that the group was behind the bullying that led to Xiao Die's tragedy. But with no solid proof and considering they were minors, they couldn't be held fully accountable. The school just suspended them for bullying Chen Nian. Then, as Chen Nian was walking home later, Wei Lai and her friends cornered her, wanting payback for reporting them to the police. At that time, Chen Nian tried to stand her ground, but seeing that even other classmates were backing Wei Lai, she chose to make a run for it. Trying to get away, she quickly called Zhang Yi, but he didn't answer, so she hid in a trash can instead. Meanwhile, Xu Miao, one of Wei Lai's friends looking for Chen Nian, arrived at the trash can and heard her phone ring when Zhang Yi called back. But instead of ratting her out, Xu Miao covered for her, telling Wei Lai that she couldn't find Chen Nin anywhere. Worried that Wei Lai and the others would be at her house, Chen Nin didn't dare to go home and headed to Xiaobei's place instead. He was quite surprised to find her at his doorstep, but he let her in. After freshening up, she asked Xiaobei to keep her safe from the bullies. He wondered why she was coming to him, considering she hadn't been very nice to him before, but Chen Nin didn't explain herself, just said sorry. From then on, Xiaobei became Chen Nin's silent guardian, keeping an eye on her from afar. He even warned Wei Lai to leave Chen Nin alone. Scared of Xiaobei, Wei Lai backed off, targeting Xu Miao instead. One day, as school was ending, Xu Miao came up to Chen Nin, asking who was protecting her and pleading for the same protection. At that time, Chen Nin didn't reveal anything about Xiaobei, but decided to walk Xu Miao home to keep her safe. The next day, Xiaobei brought a bunch of food for Chen Nin, but she noticed that he looked like he had just been in a fight with serious injuries. Seeing him in that state, she suggested that he rest on the bed to be more comfy. Later, they talked about his background, and Xiaobei shared that he'd been living by himself since he was 13 because his mom left him to be with another guy. He didn't miss her since she wasn't kind to him. To survive, Xiaobei had turned to a life of roughness, frequently clashing with other tough guys. But trouble found him when he was hanging out at an internet cafe the next day. The police barged in looking for someone involved in a series of serious crimes. Xiaobei and his mates got dragged to the station for questioning. Back at home, Chen Nin tried calling Xiaobei since he hadn't come back, but got no answer. At the station, he couldn't help but worry about her. Meanwhile, with Xiaobei not showing up, Chen Nin had no choice but to head to school by herself. Later, when she was heading home, Xu Miao appeared out of nowhere and led her to a different location. Turns out, it was a setup cause Wei Lai and her group were waiting there to give Chen Nin a beating. As they were assaulting her in a quiet neighborhood, a homeowner intervened, hurling a bottle at them and warning that the cops were on their way. When they heard that, Wei Lai and her gang stopped their attack, suddenly realizing that security cameras were recording everything. Meanwhile, Xiaobei and his mates were let go from the police station because it turned out they had nothing to do with the criminal case. Once free, he immediately called Chen Nin, but couldn't get through. Rushing home, he was horrified to see Chen Nin hurt badly. He wanted to get back at Wei Lai and her friends for what they'd done, but Chen Nin stopped him right away. Instead, Xiaobei helped patch up Chen Nin, even giving her a short haircut, which transformed her look dramatically. The next day, Chen Nin went to school, not minding the stares and whispers about her new haircut. Then, the story takes a sudden turn. A construction worker stumbled upon a woman's body while working. The police identified her as Wei Lai. This discovery led the police to question a taxi driver named Da Kang, as his vehicle was spotted by a security camera near where Wei Lai was found. But Da Kang had an alibi. He said his taxi was stolen a while ago, and he was at the hospital during the time Wei Lai died. When the cops checked, they found that he was telling the truth. But what they didn't know was that Xiaobei had borrowed Da Kang's taxi earlier and had suggested that he get checked at the hospital. At that time, Zhang Yi wasn't having any luck getting clues from Da Kang, so he decided to reach out to Wei Lai's friends, Xu Miao and Lu Ting, for some insights. They quickly threw Chen Nin under the bus, accusing her of killing Wei Lai as an act of revenge for the repeated bullying. Soon after, Zhang Yi watched a video showing Wei Lai harassing Chen Nin, and not long after, approached Chen Nin, pinning her as the prime suspect in Wei Lai's murder because she couldn't prove where she was at the time of the crime. Even though she was dragged to the police station for questioning, Chen Nin stood her ground firmly, declaring her innocence. She kept saying she hadn't killed Wei Lai. The police were in a bind since they couldn't find any solid evidence linking her to the murder, so they had no choice but to let her go, especially since she had her college entrance exam the next day. The following day, Chen Nin sat for her exam, her nerves all jumbled up because she felt Zhang Yi's scrutinizing gaze on her constantly. As she was heading home, out of the blue, Xiaobei grabbed her, hoping to get her away from the watchful eyes of the police. This didn't go unnoticed by Zhang Yi and his colleague, who immediately gave chase, but they eventually lost sight of the pair. In a secluded spot, Xiao Bei shared with Chen Nin his plan to turn himself into the police to save her from any penalty. He asked her to back up a story where he was planning to harm Wei Lei, but unintentionally killed her when she resisted. At the start, Chen Nin wasn't on board with this plan at all, but Xiao Bei persuaded her, saying that he wouldn't be in jail for long since he was still a minor. Hearing this, Chen Nin finally gave in to the plan, and they pledged to reunite once he was out of jail and she had completed her university education. Later on, when the police got to where they were, Xiao Bei kissed and hit Chen Nin a few times to make their lie appear more real to the police. He got arrested and was taken in for questioning by Zhang Yi. During the interrogation, Xiao Bei confessed to accidentally killing Wei Lei while attempting to assault her, a situation that escalated when she fought back and even bit him. But what he didn't tell them was the big hidden truth that it was actually Chen Nin who had caused Wei Lei's death, a secret he chose to keep to himself. In the flashback, we see Wei Lei coming up to Chen Nin, asking for forgiveness for all the times she bullied her. She even begged Chen Nin not to tell the police about it, but Chen Nin felt that what Wei Lei did was just too much and chose to walk away, not willing to listen to her any longer. However, Wei Lei didn't give up and kept pestering Chen Nin, not showing any signs of guilt for her past actions. At that time, Chen Nin tried to ignore her, but then Wei Lei brought up her mom, which made Chen Nin lose her cool. In a sudden burst of anger, she pushed Wei Lei, causing her to fall down the stairs and die on the spot. Terrified of being blamed for her death, Chen Nin spilled everything to Xiao Bei. After hearing what happened, he decided to step in and help her. There, Xiao Bei came up with a plan to take the blame for Wei Lei's death to save Chen Nin from getting into trouble. He started by pretending to assault Wei Lei, leaving behind scratch marks on her body to make his story believable to the police. He also set up a story to keep Chen Nin out of the whole mess. But Zhang Yi wasn't easily convinced. He had a feeling that Chen Nin might actually be responsible for Wei Lei's death. At that time, Xiao Bei decided to bear the blame to keep Chen Nin safe. However, Zhang Yi's suspicions grew stronger when he saw CCTV footage showing Xiao Bei frequently following Chen Nin to and from school, hinting that there might be more to the story than meets the eye. Soon after, the cops called Chen Nin to the station to ask her some questions, and at the same time, they were also talking to Xiao Bei in another room. They were trying to see if their stories would match up, but both of them stuck to their words, saying they didn't know each other. To make it look more convincing, when Chen Nin saw Xiao Bei, she slapped him across the face, showing the cops they were strangers to each other. Fast forward a bit, the cops ended up thinking Xiao Bei did it and let Chen Nin go because she seemed innocent. Meanwhile, Chen Nin got her college entrance exam results, and she nailed it with flying colors. A few days later, Zhang Yi dropped by to see how Chen Nin was doing after being let off the hook, but she didn't want to talk about it. Before he left, Zhang Yi kinda shocked her by saying that Xiao Bei was going to get the death penalty. Chen Nin was totally stunned by this and felt lost and scared. Seeing her like this, Zhang Yi went to comfort her, but she couldn't keep the secret anymore and spilled the beans about what really happened. At that time, Zhang Yi hugged her to try to calm her down, telling her that what he said about Xiao Bei was not true cause he just wanted to see how she would react. Not long after, he took her to see Xiao Bei in jail. There he suggested that it might be better if she just came clean about everything, so maybe the consequences for her and Xiao Bei wouldn't be as severe. In the end, Chen Nin decided to own up to her mistakes and turn herself into the cops. She ended up getting a 4-year prison sentence for the accidental death, the same as Xiao Bei, who was found to have played a part in the whole thing. Fast forward 4 years, and both of them are out of jail, ready to start fresh. Chen Nin has her heart set on being a teacher who can safeguard her students from bullying, while Xiao Bei wants to ditch his bad boy ways and build a better future with Chen Nin. A little later, we see Chen Nin doing her teacher thing, and she spots a little girl who seems pretty upset. She walks the kid home, with Xiao Bei not far behind them, looking out for them. After this, we see a couple of notes on the screen talking about how the government stepped up, putting in place new rules to crack down on bullying in schools, making sure the kids who bully others get what's coming to them. The film ends. The moral lesson from this film is don't push your classmates down the stairs, because if you do, you might end up accidentally causing their death and have to spend time in jail.